Welcome back. Another training. Hopefully you're not bored yet. What we're going to go over right now is an SP1 or a lead. So we like to call it an SP1 or a lead, right? A generated lead. So right now in our organization we have lead setters and we have closers. Some people do both those jobs. Some people just do one or the other, right? So right now I'm going to go over an SP1. I'm going to go over kind of start to finish what an SP1's job is and how they do it. So it's fairly basic. It's not super complicated, but it still takes grit, dedication, and work, right? So obviously you're generating leads. How are you doing this? Cold calling, cold contacting, door to door. We've talked about it already or you wouldn't be here. So that's the best way to do it. Obviously some people get referrals from friends and families, things like that, but the 99.9% of our business is done through door to door. Okay, so again, a couple things just with the SP1 job. It's really simple. We hold meetings. Currently we hold meetings at 11:30, which they will change due to the season, for generally a half an hour. Sometimes they're every day. Currently we're having them every day. That may change. So your job is to come to that meeting and learn sales trainings. So we're here every day to present sales trainings, or at least most days, so that you can get better at your job and at what you're doing. So you're here, generally those meetings last about a half an hour. After those meetings are complete, you go out to your area. Now you're going to have an assigned area. We assign it to you through a program that we use. But if these are a bunch of city blocks, right? Just say this is the area here. Okay, we might block off an area here that's your area. And then again in here you're going to have the homes running this way and that way, and that will be your area. So you will go through all those homes and you will knock that area. Now, there's a tool we use called Sales Rabbit, which will be in another training, and again, that tool may change. We've looked into a couple other platforms that again, we'll have trainings on how to do, but you'll be assigned an area. Your job is to canvas that area, okay? We're going to go a little bit over door-to-door approaches, but that's your job, is to approach people and provide them the information they need to sit down with one of our closers. And be able to have them present the information to them. So generally there's just a couple steps that I'd like to go over real fast with an SP1. Again, really with your job, you come to the meetings, you go to your area, you knock doors, you take a lunch, and you finish the day, right? It's repetitive, it's tedious, but in my mind it's the best way to get an education in sales is to go door to door. So I'm going to go into a little bit actually how to do an SP1. So again, you're going to knock on doors. So the first thing you want to do when you get to your area is you want to, what I like to do is just kind of look at it and look at the different homes and kind of look for signs of life, right? Depending on what time of day it is, there might not be very many people home. So you're going to want to look for signs of life. Right? So look for cars in the driveway, look for, listen for air conditioning units that are on, or heaters, listen for, or look for, kids, look for any sign of life, windows open, lights on, whatever you can do to find signs of life. And generally you want to focus on an area. If you see a lot of homes where, there's a lot of people home, garage doors open, obviously you want to try to get to those first. I've learned that with an SP1 or a lead setter, time is your biggest enemy. And when I say that, what I mean is your job is to get in front of as many homeowners as possible, right? That's your job. And then to be able to explain to them what the program is. So when you go door to door, there's going to be a couple qualifications for people when you go about doing it. So now for them, my first thing is I like to qualify people when I first talk to them. first and foremost, they have to be a homeowner. Really simple, right? We can't do this for renters. And then they have to have good credit. Not something I bring up right away, but it's something that you should know. Is that they need to have good credit. So really those are the qualifying factors. Aside from that, shade on the roof. If the whole roof is covered in trees, obviously this isn't going to work. If it's covered in pool solar, which again is not solar panels, but it's big black sheets that almost look like a big tarp on the roof, that's not going to work, right? Or the roof's just funny. And again, you'll learn over time what's a funny roof and what's not. But if it has way too many pitches, there's no room, there's all kinds of problems with it, or if it just looks like it's about to fall off, probably not the best homes to work with, right? So again, your job is to qualify quickly. Again, make sure you're talking to the homeowner. In your pitch, you're going to want to bring up and ask if they have good credit, or if they have credit above the standard. Right now it's 680, soon to be 660, so you need to know what those are. So again, after you look for signs of life, you go to someone, you try to qualify them. Here's generally what your pitch will consist of. Who, what, the problem, the solution, and then the transition. So, this is your job. Your job is to go to people and to provide them a couple things. Who you are, what you're doing there, what the problem is, what the solution is, and what the transition is. Seems simple, right? It's surprisingly not that simple if you haven't done it for a long time, to get in front of people and explain this to them. Now, first you got to tell them who you are, right? So people are going to judge you within the first 5 seconds. They're going to judge you right when they see you. So for me, something that's really important, and then I can go into more detail later, is your appearance. You wouldn't, a lot of people show up to job interviews in a suit, right? You don't show up to work in your pajamas generally. So who you are is your appearance, right? Right now I'm not a good example of appearance. I have a untamed beard and a hat and flip-flops on, right? Not ideal. So again, when I say appearance, be as upstanding as you possibly can. You want to be a professional, okay? Sounds cheesy, that's what you want to be. You're a door-to-door professional. So again, have your hair tamed, right? I probably won't go on talking about this again, but have your hair tamed, have decent shoes on, look the part. If you don't look the part, it's not going to work. I would suggest, I tell a lot of guys, if you have a lot of tattoos, try to cover those tattoos up. I'm not judging you, but a 60-year-old lady may, right? So it's just how the world works. So try to cover up things that might be a deterrent, earrings, things like that, to especially an older generation will turn them away pretty quickly. Your appearance, I hate to say it, but it's a big part of it. So once you say who you are, right, once they see that you're okay here, you look decent, you're not going to rob them, okay, great. Who you are. So you just want a quick intro. Now, that is very quick. So for example, what I say is I actually start off with a question. So what you'll learn in sales is that questions are huge. They gauge people's interest, you find out where they're at. So what I say first, I ask, are you the homeowner? Right, I got to qualify. Yes, I'm the homeowner. Okay, great. My name is Adam. I work for Centra Electric, right? Really simple. That's who I am. So what am I doing? So what's happening? Why am I there? So what I say is, there's a few things you can say. You can say I'm checking up on net metering. I'm here because of some of the recent mandates. What I like to say is there's some trucks that are going to be out in the area surveying some of the homes. That's what I do, but you can kind of do whatever you want. I just say, hey, there's going to be some trucks out. Have any of your neighbors let you know. Follow up with a question, right? If any of your neighbors let you know. But you can also say, I'm here with the net metering program. I'm here because of some of these federal mandates. I don't know if you've read the news recently. Again, follow up with a question. I don't know if your neighbors have told you. Have you looked at it up in the news? Do you know what I'm talking about? Right? Want to gauge interest. You want to get people on your side. You want to get them talking. Again, there are times when people are not listening to you. The best way to get someone to listen to you is ask them a good question. Okay, then you've got a problem. So I'm going to use Nevada for an example, right? What's the problem here? They're shutting down coal plants. Now, some of you might have a laminate or a slick you can hand them that shows a utility bill, which we can go over later, or showing rate increases. But what you want to share with them is what the problem is, right? Because if you're there, there's obviously a problem, right? If you have road workers on the road fixing a road, the problem is the road has fixing that needs to be done, right? Simple. So what's the problem? Well, coal plants are being shut down. You know, I mean, there's a drought, and so the dam isn't producing power. Warren Buffett bought NV Energy not very recently ago. Does that make sense? So what that means are rates. Again, here's the kicker. Rates are going up. So a simple way to put this, hey, yeah, the only reason we're out here, I don't know if you've heard in the news, some coal plants are shutting down. Warren Buffett just bought NV Energy. Because of that, they're going to have to raise rates, obviously with the cost of gas. So have you noticed that at all in your bill, right? Follow it up with a good question. See where you're at. So then, once you do that, you need a solution. So you've given them the problem, but now you got to tell them how you're going to solve it. Okay, well, great. I love problems, but what's the solution? So solution is simple. Now it's just a matter of explaining it correctly, right? That's all sales is explaining things correctly. So the solution is net metering, right? You can say, hey, the solution, the reason we're out here is because they're shutting down coal plants, the drought, Warren Buffett, whatever. Now, what we're doing is, for example, we're taking solar that would normally be put in the desert and we're putting it on residential homes. We're using renewable energy to produce that power as opposed to using coal plants. Another good thing to bring up, I think probably one of the best things you can bring up, is with this problem, there's government mandates. So the government has actually mandated that a certain amount of Nevada have solar. So when you tell someone something's government mandated, it all of a sudden becomes more official. So you just say, you know, it's government mandated by the state of Nevada that they produce more power locally or on-site or through renewables, right? So my job is to qualify these homes to see which ones might qualify to produce their power on-site using renewables. I ask a question. Have you heard of renewables? Yes, no. My brother hasn't. Okay. So yeah, what we do is we put solar on your house. And then you've got to explain our program a little bit. Which I'm going to erase this and I'm going to go over our program after that. Because again, programs can change a little bit. But yeah, we put solar up on the house. You get a cheaper rate for your power. It doesn't cost you anything out of pocket at the end, right? Now there's the transition. So once you've provided them who you are, what you're doing, the problem, the solution, well now you need a transition. What's the next step? So your goal as an SP1 rep, like I said in the beginning, is to set appointments, right? So your goal is to get them to sit down with someone to set an appointment so that a closer can then come in, explain the program in detail specifically for their home, right? So again, what you need to let them know also is good with the solution is, hey, we put solar on the house, doesn't cost you anything, there's no upfront cost. We provide you a proposal. I suggest that everyone shows the customer an example proposal, which we can provide, so they can see what they're getting, an example from someone else, maybe in the area. Now, here, I like to keep everything simple. I like to even tell people that it's simple. My job is simple. All I've got to do is see if you qualify. So real quick, I have a couple things I want to leave you, and I want to take some notes. Where's a good place I can sit? Right? Simple transition to get into the home, okay? So now I really suggest, I know some people are uncomfortable with that, get into the home as much as possible, okay? Try not to do this on the doorstep, try not to do it on, in their garage. Try if possible to get in the house. People are more comfortable with you once you can get in their home, in their comfort zone, right? Doing this all in the doorway is not as efficient. So transition, a simple transition. Hey, I have a couple things to write down. I'll do that real fast. Do you want me to take my shoes off? Do the shoes, you brush your feet. Where can we sit, right? Anything like that. Again, the biggest thing, guys, about all of this is you have to be assumptive. So I'll kind of go over some of those sales principles. But that's your job, who you are, what you're doing, the problem, the solution, the transition. So again, more and more you'll understand kind of what your job is. But that's what you're explaining to a customer, potential customer, right? And it needs to be clear, it needs to be concise, needs to make sense for them. So again, you've been looking for signs of life, you found some people home, and now you're telling them what you're doing. Okay, so now after the fact, what happens? So how the process works right now is you get in the home and you fill out a form, which we'll have that form online, and we can give you copies of it. But you fill out name, address, both phone numbers. You always want to get a cell phone. Right now we don't require a date of birth, may in the future. And there's a couple questions generally that make sure that you asked about credit. Make sure you asked, potentially you ask about income. Have they ever looked into solar before? Things like that. Just so we have a better idea of kind of what we're working with. And obviously your information. Very simple form. And then in another video we're going to show you how to check your schedule so that you can tell them what times are available. So once you go in, you sit down, you fill out the form, you call in to the local office, which will provide you. They'll ask you for that information, you provide them the information, they hand the phone to the customer, they verify it with the customer to make sure that everything's correct, they schedule them for a sit-down appointment with a solar consultant, and then from there, your job is done. So it's very simple. It's not complicated. I should say it's simple, but it's not simple. It's also very, very difficult to do because you're going to face a lot of rejection, right? You're going to face a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of doors slammed in your face. You're going to get a lot of that all the time, right? And it can be hot, it can be cold, depending on where you're at, and it's definitely not easy. But it's rewarding, and it's a great way to learn and a great way to develop your sales skills, your communication skills, all those sort of things. So again, that's what you want to do. Who, what, why, the problem, the solution, the transition, get in the home, answer some basic questions. Some of these videos are to help you. You may say to them, hey, do you have any questions for me before I go? Oh yeah, well what about this? How does this work, right? So you may want to go over some of those questions with them, and hopefully you'll know enough. If not, simply write down the question and say, hey, I'm going to have the person that comes by, I'm going to for sure have them answer this for you. Again, your job is to make sure that they sit down with somebody. That's it. And then from there, you're done. So along with that, again, just real quick, in being an SP1, I can go over this a little bit later. We talked about appearance. The only other thing I want to talk about is your tone of voice and kind of your attitude, and even a little bit on body language. So again, fast forward through the video to this part if you need to. But so, and you know what I might, let's see here. I don't know what I'm going to end actually. We'll do this on a separate video, just so you have an idea of kind of what the process is. And one other thing that's important to know with an SP1 is that you're going to be driving out to your area. So once you leave the office, you drive out to your area, you park your car, and you knock your area, right? Yeah, we're going to cut that out. That doesn't make any sense.